Welcome to Crochet 101. For more information about this series and all other videos in this series, you can check out the Crochet 101 playlist on my profile. Today we are going to be going over the granny cluster stitch. Now we kind of covered granny clusters when we did the granny square tutorial, but just in case you did not join me for this one, or if you just want to go over granny clusters themselves, let's get to it. As you can see, you can absolutely work this with just a single color. I'm going to be using multiple colors just so you can see my rows build up, but this one looks great with just one. Now for this stitch, you want to chain in a multiple of 3 plus 1. That plus 1 is that extra chain that we can't really work into. So I have chained 22 here. That is a multiple of 3 plus 1. And I didn't do it in this swatch, but I'm actually going to do an initial row just of single crochet, just because it's a little bit easier to start working this if you're working from like actual chains as a actual like stitch chains as opposed to just the chains that you establish your piece off of. So let's do a row of single crochet. I finished my initial row of single crochet and I switched colors, and now I'm onto my row, my actual row here. And so what I'm going to do is I chained 2. I like to chain 2 when I start a row of double crochets, and that's what we're going to be doing. So I have yarned over and I'm going to put 3 double crochet into the second stitch here. So skip the first one into the second one, 3 double crochet. So we take our hook, we go into that little spot under our chain, yarn over once, yarn over again, and then we're going to do a second double crochet and a third. So that is your first granny cluster, and now we're going to put a second one into the third stitch on here. So we skip 2, 1, 2, and into the third we're going to put 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3. And the way I try and help people think about this is, so you are going to have the exact same amount of stitches. You are just putting the stitch that would usually go here, here, and the stitch that would usually go here, here. So at the end, we're still going to end up with 21 stitches, which was how many working chains we had. So we finished our second granny cluster. We're going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and into the third, we're going to put another granny cluster and continue that all the way down. So I finished my row of granny clusters, and now what I'm actually going to do is do a double crochet into this last chain here, and this is just going to be kind of an anchor stitch for me to work off of and to clean up the row. So that does not really count as a stitch or a granny cluster. We are going to basically ignore that, and I'm going to switch colors so you can see my next row. So we are once again going to chain 2. I've already chained 1, there is 2. And from this point on, you are just going to be putting granny clusters into the spaces between the granny clusters below. So into this space here, I'm going to put 3 double crochet. And then right here, I'm going to put another 3 double crochet, and the granny cluster stitch or the granny stripe stitch actually becomes a really great, what I call it, a TV project, where like you don't really have to, once you get your rows kind of established, you really don't have to like count anything. You can just look for where you have to put the next one and put one there. There's very little counting. There's very little reading stitches once you get yourself established. And I'm just going to go all the way down the line, putting granny clusters where I have an open space for them. And once again, I am going to end this with a double crochet right into the spot that we started our 2 chains with. And then you would switch your color. And then you would put granny clusters into all these spaces here, and you can see they mirror the ones below them. And if you want to make sure you're staying on track, once again, you don't have to count stitches. You can just count how many granny clusters you have. So this is a really quick and simple one to do. It makes for a really great blanket. People use this for cardigans and things like that. So if you have multiple colors, definitely use those and give this one a try. And I will see you guys for our next lesson.